Okay. Hello folks, welcome to episode 12. Right, so today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I do like to mix these episodes up. Let me get this straight out of the way first of all. Thank you as always for the support. Thank you for joining me for another episode. So, in the spirit of mixing things up, I thought I'd do something today I haven't done before, which is to talk about, I guess, a class of guitar, type of guitar if you like. I never really talk about Strats. And I felt it kind of important to give them a little bit of credit because I talk a lot about, obviously more recently, ES335s, Les Pauls and Telecasters and other guitars of that nature. I never really touch on Strats. I have played Strats in previous episodes, and of course I've played a lot on Peach guitars, and it's kind of, I think generally, at least my experience of guitar players, we kind of live in a bit of a Strat world. A lot of players I know are predominantly Strat players and they sound great with Strats. And for me, I thought I'd make this little video to address this fact. I've just never quite got it. I've never quite been a Strat guy. However, I do appreciate the many, many virtues of a Strat. So I kind of wanted to try and delve into a little bit why that might be. Why I've never been a Strat guy. Why I tend to gravitate more towards Les Pauls and Telecasters and guitars of that nature more so than a Strat. So I thought I'd try and articulate a few of those thoughts in this video. Now, as you'll be able to tell from that little opening, I love the tone of a Strat. You know, I certainly appreciate, as I said before, its virtues and everything that it's known to do. I think I know my way around a Strat well enough to get some of what its greatest hits are out of it, if you like, but not being a kind of dyed-in-the-wool Strat guy, it's not my first port of call, it's not my natural kind of go-to, and I guess the main reason for that is, despite the fact that I did kind of grow up with Strats, if you like, and it was my first decent guitar. Back there on the wall, you can see my old Highway 1 Fender Strat, which was my first ever semi-professional level guitar that I bought years and years ago, and I did used to play that quite a lot, but my heart was always with Les Pauls because of the players that used them. I was really into guys like Jimmy Page, Ace Frehley, and other kind of Gibson type players, Angus Young, Slash, and players like that from an early age. So I guess naturally I just started to veer away and moved towards more of a Gibson kind of sound that I had in my head. And though I did love players like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Ritchie Blackmore, and later on Clapton and Jeff Beck, the Strat thing just never grabbed me in the same way, and I think it has to do pretty much entirely with the bridge pickup. Now, I've come in more recent years to appreciate the sound of a Strat bridge pickup and all that it can do, but my ear just naturally, having become attuned to that thicker sound of a bridge humbucker, or even a Tele pickup, which, you know, a lot of people will argue that it's a lot brighter than a Strat sound. It's a bit more strident, a Tele bridge pickup, but I still think it has more kind of fatness to it than a Strat does. So I think I kind of, from an early age, became a bridge pickup player predominantly, and in fact I used for many years this kind of bastardized Fender Esquire copy, so it only had a bridge pickup. So I kind of learned everything I had to learn really with a Telecaster bridge pickup, and later on a Les Paul bridge pickup, and so naturally what a lot of Strat players tend to gravitate towards is the opposite of that. Most Strat players are all about the neck and the in-between sounds. So I guess that factor alone is kind of a big reason why I'd never really considered myself to be a Strat player. However, what's interesting is that in more recent years, and as I kind of developed as a player, what I came to realise about the Strat is that it's not necessarily my home base for guitar playing. You know, if I'm just going to sit and noodle like I was just doing earlier, it's not really the first guitar I'd grab, but I learned how to orchestrate music with a Strat. And what I mean by that is I've played a lot of gigs, particularly cover gigs, where you need a Strat clean sound. You need those in-between sounds, and you need the neck pickup sound. So let me show you. Of course, everyone knows what this is going to sound like, but if I just turn my, not the loop, let me get the delay happening. New delay pedal, forgive me. So, dry sound. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about, that in-between sound. Now, everyone knows it for that Mayer thing nowadays. that is a sound that I respect. It's not my kind of go-to sound. It's not a sound that I absolutely adore. What I really like it for is the choppier, funkier thing. So if I'm staying in position, I would refer to this, by the way, I'm interested to know in the comments, is this position 4 or is this position 2? I've never quite worked it out. I would always call it position 4, but I like it for this. So I kind of learned to play with that sound, which, as I said, is totally different. It's totally the furthest thing pretty much away from a thick sounding Les Paul bridge pickup. I kind of learned to play with that for certain gigs. And with a little bit of gain on it as well, it works very well too. Now, if you watch any of the Peach Guitars demos and I'm playing a Strat style guitar, usually, if I'm going to those sounds, that's the kind of thing I'll play. You'll notice I go for more of a rhythmic, funky thing. So, what I kind of have managed to deduce from that is that the Strat, to me, is kind of the ultimate utility guitar. And now that could be heresy for some people to hear that, because I know so many people love the Strat and it's their kind of go-to expression outlet for their guitar playing. But to me, it's just a great utility piece, and really the only times I use them, at least frequently use them, is just to kind of get basic core sounds, whether it's that funky rhythmic thing, whatever it might be. But in doing so, what has kind of led me to believe is that the Strat kind of brings different elements of my playing out, at least, and it makes me think a little bit more musically. Like I said, I'm not necessarily going to sit down and noodle on a Strat. Obviously, you feel inclined to a little bit, particularly on those neck pickup sounds. But that always just ends up sounding a little bit cliched to me, so what I like to do is just try and use it in a more musical way. And you don't always get that with guitars. I guess some people find that, if you are mainly a Strat player, what's your go-to? If you want to find something that kind of brings music out of you, I guess, for some people that is a Telecaster, or that is a Gibson style guitar. But for me, it's always been flipped around. So what I find is that when I play a Strat, I'm never 100% sure what the tone is going to be. And that's really interesting. For example, if I put my distortion back on, and I just pick up, if I just go to any pickup selection, I'm going for the middle here. If this was a Les Paul or something, I'd know exactly what that's going to sound like. With a Strat, I have an idea, but it very quickly makes me start to inform my playing in as musical a way as possible to make it sound right, if you see what I mean. So let me try and give an example. So what I was kind of trying to give an example of there is just how it instantly makes me play in a different way than I do on any other guitar. And that is kind of, I suppose that is the magic of the Strat. It does that to any player, but just thought it'd be interesting to articulate that thought maybe, because it's not my go-to guitar. And I have had questions about that before. Why do I not talk that much about Strats? I do love them, and I use them, but I use them in a different way. I tend to think of them more as tools, really. Which is neither a good thing nor a bad thing, it just depends on your perspective. The other thing that I have noticed about Strats is that I just find them quite difficult to play as accurately as I do on fixed bridge guitars. Now that could just be down to the tremolo bridge, but I play other guitars that have a floating bridge system or whatever, and don't necessarily have that same trouble. I don't know if it's string spacing or nut width or whatever it might be. It just doesn't quite gel with me 100%, but that's the interesting challenge once again. So let me give an example of that again. like I said, I'm quite a heavy-handed player, and my go-to is always for that Les Paul or Telecaster bridge thing, at which point you could just lay into the bridge pickup sound on a big open chord. You know, and with a kind of fairly dry, plinky Strat bridge pickup clean sound, it just doesn't work. Obviously you have to play appropriately to whatever guitar you play, but it is interesting just how quite far removed it is from my natural playing state, and so maybe that's just another reason why you don't often see me with a Strat in my hands. But, you know, lest I just constantly talk about the negatives of a Strat, as I see it, I have to say that it's one of the best sounding electric guitars of all time. I don't even need to say that, it's obvious, but when you play to its strengths rather than having it play to your strengths, which is what is the case for me, then that's when you get the best out of it. And, you know, everywhere from those, I mean, it's so versatile. I think maybe another thing is that there's so many sounds. 5 sounds. I've never been used to that. 3 is all I need from a guitar's pickup selections, but when you've got 5 sounds, you've got so many different avenues to explore. You know, a couple of Strat cliches there for you, but hopefully this video's made a degree of sense. I think what I wanted to do is just sit down and maybe just give you a couple of my thoughts as to why the Strat, as great as I think it is, it's just not my go-to, and I'm very curious to know what guitar is that the case for you. So, you know, if you're predominantly a Strat player, I want to know which guitar you just find a little bit alien to sit down with, but it coaxes some different musical ideas out of you. Maybe it's Tele, maybe it's a Les Paul, maybe it's a Rickenbacker, I don't know. Whatever it might be, I just think it's interesting to explore that idea. But rest assured, for anyone who has asked before, I do love Strats. I feel quite naked and exposed in doing this today, and I've purposefully done that, you know, give myself a really dry guitar sound, really clean, just to try and get the best out of this Strat. And, you know, it is a little bit kind of, it certainly puts the spotlight on your playing style. And I'm curious to know what guitars you think that effect has on you. So let me know in the comments. Please leave some questions below if you've got any questions as well, because I want to use them to address future themes for videos, as I always do. I appreciate all the support I've had so far. So yeah, just keep it coming, guys. Episode 13, I guess I'll get working on shortly. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Hope this has been a little bit of food for thought. Let me know in the comments. Alright, see you later, guys. Take care.